So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to bring on my next guest who has been very busy since leaving Love Island and has an incredible brand new book. So let's say hello to Anton Danyluk. How are you?
Hi Lewis, thank you very much for having me on the show. I am very well. How are you?
Really good, thank you. It's great to get you on because I know it's an exciting time for you, that you've got your new book out. And I know this is something that's really personal to you. You've always wanted to actually be able to be in a position to help people and have the profile to kind of motivate, encourage. So tell everyone about your new book, which is out.
Yeah, so first and foremost, it's called 50 Steps to the Best Version of Yourself. So it's quite simply all the steps that I believe that I can give people the tools and techniques to live the best version of themselves. And like you said, Lewis, from my very young age, my goal was always to be to motivate and inspire people. Coming from a background of a multicultural background, I was overweight as a kid. I got bullied, I lacked in self-confidence, and I believe that I've changed my life around in such a way. And you know what, I think with this book, I can help people do the exact same.
I mean, when I got the book, I've never seen a book like it because it's a mixture of kind of an autobiography. There's a lot about your childhood, your time on Love Island, your relationships, and then there's a lot of techniques to help people. So it's one of those books where you actually give people the steps and the material to go ahead and do this. And one thing that really struck me in the book was actually it was so simple, yet it makes you stop and think. I mean, so many times I was reading this book and I was like, actually, that's such a good way, and it just inspires you. And I'm going to be honest, when I got the book, I did not expect to be inspired, and that's just being honest. I didn't know what to expect, but so many times I can't put it down, and I've already made notes, and from reading your book, I've actually the very same night signed up to a gym, and I'm not part of a gym, and I've done it because I've realized that I don't need to overwhelm myself and feel like I have to do 5-6 times a week. You've made it sound so realistic, and I think that's the great thing about the book.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think people, whether it is in fitness or any steps in life, they build, when they're trying to build something, whether it be a business, whether it's trying to build your body, whether it's your relationship, they make it into this big, massive task, and they think that it's going to take so long and it's going to take so much effort. And because they make it this big deal in their head, I believe that they never start because it's become such a big deal. So I'm very much along the lines of, if you do 1% every single day, that's 365% at the end of the year. And that's it. It's just taking that first step.
And I've got more questions about the book, but just heading on, obviously a lot of people know you from Love Island. And one question I wanted to ask you, obviously a show like that gives you a whole level of fame at such a quick pace. I mean, it's almost like an overnight thing. How did you cope with that, to go into this island and then come out with millions of social media followers and being in every newspaper and magazine?
Yeah, so it's totally overwhelming at first, but I think you have no choice but to adapt to it. The only way I can explain it is you go on holiday, you walk through the airport, no one knows who you are, but then when you come back from your holiday, the whole of the UK effectively know who you are. It's crazy. But my thing was always to gain my platform and then use it in the best way possible to, like I said, motivate and inspire people. It was never about coming out and, doing all these ads and making all this money from other things. I just always wanted to motivate and inspire because I went through so much as a kid in terms of with being overweight and a lot of mental struggles in myself. And I've always said, if I could help one person better their life, I'll be doing something right. And now with the platform I've got, I've potentially got the opportunity to help millions of people. And it's amazing. I could never have wished for this platform, and I'm so grateful for it.
And the thing is, this book gives people a really good insight into you, because when you went into the show, initially you weren't well received from the public.
No.
You had a negative reaction, but would you say, because I noticed later on we all started to warm to you, so did you go in there in the sense of being a bit of a character, knowing what we would want as viewers, knowing what the producers wanted. So did you go in there almost like a character to try and create some entertainment?
No, so for me, my thing was always go on and be myself. So I think what you're referring to, and the reason that people didn't like me initially, was because of the initial VT, which is where you sit down at the start and you guys get to see us talking for a minute or so. And what actually happened in that, I explained a lot that, first of all, you sit in that room for 45 minutes and do this VT, which is edited down to 1 minute. And I was talking about how, as a young guy, you know, when I was 18, you know, I would maybe go out with all these girls and I would sleep with girls and I would do this and I would do that. But that was me. That was my own insecurities when I was younger, because I was the young fat kid. As soon as I started getting the good body or the certain look and I was getting attention, it was like I was almost trying to prove to everyone, oh, I can do this, because I was so insecure with myself. So I spoke about this. I spoke about how when I was younger, you know, I was this way, and then I discovered the secret, and I discovered the law of attraction, and everything that you put out, you attract back. And when I discovered that, it completely changed my life. And I always do the good things and the right things for the right reasons now. However, what Love Island had then done was they had took the first bit of me saying, yeah, I used to sleep with girls, I used to do this, I used to cheat my girlfriends, blah, 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 and just cut the second part. So that is why, obviously, I came across that way. But then as soon as I went into the Love Island villa, the cameras are on you 24 hours a day. And I believe I came across exactly how I am.
And I mean, because of that, the press were really tough on you. And you talk about this in your book. Now, you seem to have a very thick skin and you handled the situation very well. But a lot of people wouldn't. I mean, you were hounded. You were called a love rat, arrogant. When you went back and you read some of these articles about yourself, did that affect you in any way, or did you just shake it off and move forward?
I think for me, because I never actually seen the negative when I was in there until I came out. And because it was so positive when I came out, it was like a turnaround. So I don't think it really mattered to me too much. But I think if I'd been out at that time, no matter how thick-skinned you are and no matter how positive you are, hearing these things about yourself isn't going to be nice. And especially when it's not truly reflecting who you are. So, yeah, I mean, obviously when I came out, it was fine because everything was good. But I know my family went through a real tough time during that time at the start of Love Island.
I mean, in terms of your family, one person that gained fame from your Love Island experience, of course, is your mum. Now, what I love about this book is you get such an insight into both of you. I mean, she's been your rock. She has the ability to motivate you and encourage you and almost ground you when needed. And when you mentioned about being overweight and, you know, you were getting bullied, it was your mum that got you into the gym that turned your life around. And you can see, I know there was the whole kind of people found it hilarious that your mum shaved your bum. But when you read this book, I can see how close you are, and it's the most incredible mother and son relationship, and it comes across so well in this book.
She's my everything. I mean, I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. I really wouldn't be. There's been times in my life where, for example, even when I was younger, she noticed that I was starting to get depressed. She always had. Do you know what? I hated my mum when I was younger. I hated her because she used to. They own their own popcorn business, and whenever it was the summer holidays, from 5 years old upwards, she would make me go in and pack boxes. And I'd be, Mum, my friends are out playing. No, son, you need to work. Then, if, you know, when I came out of Love Island, for example, there's a part I tell in the book, actually, a story I tell in the book, where obviously when you come out, I went into my PA tour, which is where you travel around all the clubs and turning on Christmas lights. And I was in and out of hotels constantly. And I came home after about 2 months, I think it was, and I sat down at the table, had my dinner, and I just walked away and left my plate. And I would never do that in my house, never. It's just not. We always clear our plates, we clean up after ourselves, always help out in the house, do our chores from a young age. That's been installed. And I just left my plate. And I'm not going to swear, but there was swearing involved in this. And she looked at me and she said, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "What?" And she went, "You're not a celebrity in this house. Get your plate in the dishwasher." And she always brings me back down to earth. So no matter if sometimes I go above myself or if I think I'm doing really well in life, she'll always go, you can do better, you can do better. And she always pushes me. And like I said, I wouldn't be the person I am today without her.
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but the story I loved was when you were approaching kind of management companies just to see about furthering your
Yeah,
opportunities, and that there was a rejection that you got, but then your mum got involved, called them up, and kind of said, "Have you seen my fucking son? Like, look
yeah,
at it,
yeah,
he's incredible." And it was
yeah.
that was the turning point. They kind of stopped, looked, and then everything followed on from that. So she's also a massive part of why you are where you are now, why you have the platform, because she believed in you and fought your corner.
Yep, yep, 100%. And she's my biggest fan. That's the thing. Like, as much as she's hard on me and she's tough on me, and she'll never tell me to my face she's proud of me, but she is, because she'll tell everyone else. And I know she is, because she doesn't want me to get complacent. And that's what pushes me every day. That's what drives me every day. I could have came off Love Island. I could have done my PAs. You make a lot of money when you come off the show, not to sound arrogant or anything like that. You make a lot of money. You can do these deals where, I think I got offered like 30 grand when I came off of Love Island to do a McDonald's deal. I turned down because it's not who I am as a person. And all these things that define who I am as a person is because of her. And she always says, if you do the right things for the right reasons, good things will come. And that's what we live our lives by.
And another a positive thing I feel about you is that you have wealth. You come from a kind of a well-off family, but you're such a hard worker. You work hard, you
Mm,
put the hours in, you work at home. So you never take it for granted, and you're still working. And the book's kind of proof of this. So do they
I
instill
think
that?
Yeah, sorry. I think that, well, coming from a well-off family, it wasn't so much like that when we were young. My mum and dad were building a business. They nearly went bankrupt. There was a lot that went on that I'd seen when I was younger, and they came from nothing and they built their business to where it was. And I think because of that, I've seen all the hard work that's went in, and they've always just installed that you have to work for everything. I mean, I think because they came from nothing as well, that I always remember that when I was younger, it was simply if I wanted a PlayStation, for example, as you do when you're a kid, your mum, dad, can I get a PlayStation? And mum and dad had the money to buy me a PlayStation, yeah, but they would always say to me, if you want it, you have to go and work for it. So I would have to go and work X amount of hours in their popcorn factory to earn the PlayStation. Whereas there is people that come from, let's say, less well-off families, but their family would buy them that. But it's about installing morals in you. So it's not about actually where you come from, it's about the morals that are placed in you. And that's what they've done, and I'm so grateful for it.
And going back to the book, one thing that
Sure.
I loved, which is if you follow the book in order of where it is, you'll do like some exercises that you've put in there, but then
Yeah,
there's more about you, and it almost motivates you to then carry on. You've done it in an order which just seems to follow so freely. So you'll do an exercise, then if you're just feeling a little bit exhausted, that you'll read stuff about you that then motivates you to carry on to the
sure.
next section.
Yeah, sure. I didn't want the book to be about just about exercising and eating, because there's so much more to it than that. That's my small section for living your best life. And I think that by putting a part of my autobiography in there as well, it helps people understand that I have went through the journey, because I think a lot of people do automatically think, oh, it's okay for Anton, he's maybe got the good body now, he's got the million followers, he's got this. But when you actually tell your story alongside it, they can understand it wasn't always like that. There's been a process to that. And I believe that the steps that I have put into this book are the steps that have allowed me to get to the place I am in my life. I'm a big believer in the power of the universe, as I talk about a lot in the book. I believe whatever you put out, you do get back. And I believe my life does actually show that with a lot of the stories that I tell. That it's not just like BS. It's not just a load of rubbish. I'm not just saying, oh, these are the steps you need to live. That I'm just writing them down. These are the steps that I have actually lived in my own life, and I believe that's why, like you said, the autobiography goes really well alongside it to show that.
And I think normally when you start a new kind of, not a new life, but a new journey with fitness and confidence and being healthy, you almost feel like you're going to have to buy this, you're going to have to get this in, you're going to
Yeah.
have, there's so much expense that goes with it. And then this book actually shows you how simple, you don't need all of that whatsoever.
Yep. So what was actually great about when I was writing the book is, you may have noticed, there's been a global pandemic. So I thought that while I was writing the book, it came at a very good time, because I thought, well, do you know what? There's no point in me putting all these you know, you need all this equipment to train with, you need all these other expensive stuff that we're going through a global tragedy at the moment. So I thought, let's just make this as simple as possible with the training. If you don't want to go to the gym, you don't have to go to the gym. You've got all the simple steps to doing it. Same with the food. I've made it very, very simple how you work it out. And yeah, I just think that it did actually help writing it during the pandemic, because it couldn't have been a simpler time because you couldn't go out, you couldn't do things.
Yeah.
So it was actually worked out really well.
Well, Anton, I think it's honestly, it's incredible what you've done. And this book really does give people a great insight, not only to you, but your journey as well so far. What I love is I've got many friends that lack confidence sometimes, and it can make them feel down. And the fact that you've been through that as well, and you share these tips on how you can overcome that and little strategies that you would do. I mean, you mentioned that you were booked after the show and you had to do a talk. Like a motivational talk, where even you, someone that we would see as a confident guy, you were nervous. The prospect of going out was a nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, so when I came out of Love Island, I was made World Merit Ambassador for the United Nations, which was an amazing role. It allowed me to go up and down schools and promote health and well-being to kids, which was always my goal, because like I said, with being overweight myself as a kid, I thought if I can get through to one kid here, I'm doing something right. That could potentially change their life, because it has with myself. And yeah, I had a big speech at the Shankly Hotel, and I think it was in front of 1,000 people, which in the grand scheme of things, when you are, you know, on TV in front of 6 million people on a daily basis, it's a small scale. But I was so nervous. I talk about how my nerves were and how I dealt with that. And yeah, I mean, I think that I always believe though, if you're nervous about something or you're worried about something, I always say if your goals aren't big enough, if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. So it was good. I like to have that where you feel a little bit uncomfortable and then you push yourself outside your comfort zone.
And you know, the final thing I want to say in regards to the book, even if someone's not a fan of Love Island or someone isn't maybe aware of who you are, this book, your credentials as a person and what you've delivered in this book is enough to sell the book, is enough to want to buy it, and enough to want to word of mouth and tell your friends about it, because you've delivered something which is one of the best reads that I've read. So I think this is going to go incredibly well for you.
I appreciate that, but that's the main goal. The main goal is for me not to be Anton from Love Island. That was never the goal. I don't want that. I want to be that, you know, that guy, Anton Danyluk, the person that motivates kids, he motivates people, inspires them. You know, and if, just like I said, if this book, if one person reads it and they just feel better after reading it, I've done something right. And that's all I say. I mean, if this sells one copy and it helps that one person's life, I'm happy.
You're going to sell a lot more than one copy, I can assure you on that. One final thing, I know lots of people from Love Island fans will want to know, do you keep in touch with any people from your series? Have you remained close? Are there WhatsApp groups where you keep in touch?
Yeah, no, it doesn't really happen. I mean, I think when you're on the show, you are in a bubble, and like I've said before, when you come out, a lot of people's lives change so drastically, and with that, unfortunately, they change as well. But yeah, I mean, look, I respect the journey I went on with the people. It was a life-changing experience. It was an amazing experience, one I'll never forget. But it was a stage in my life that's there, and now I'm on to the next stage of my life.
Well, I'm really excited to, and I think the next step for you has got to be a television series, like Joe Wicks type thing, fitness, motivate, because there's nothing like that on TV, where not only is it just about fitness, but confidence and sharing tips on how you can do it simple. So surely that's the next step for you.
Yeah, that's what I've always dreamed of and always wanted. From a young age, I used to watch a lot of the programs, the American ones, you know, Biggest Loser and things like that. I would love to have my own TV show where I'm motivating and inspiring people. But yeah, I've just recently launched my own gym concept out in Dubai. So I'm looking to franchise that out and potentially get a TV show in the back end of that as well, because not only do I want to motivate people in fitness and well-being, I also want to do the same in business as well, because I do believe that from a young age I've been in business, I've been brought up with it, and I want to help people with that entrepreneurial side as well, which again is in the book. It's not just a health and well-being book that people would associate with me. There's everything in it from work to business, to dealing with stress, to even relationships. I mean, who am I to give advice on relationships? But no, I put my little bit in there in what I believe, because I do believe a big part of why I'm single is because I know what I want now, and I put a lot of steps in there. But yeah, it's all good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for the book as well, because like I said before we came on, I didn't know what to expect. It's one of those where you read it, it's your job, you've got to read it so you know about it. But actually, the amount of times I stopped and made notes, and I've never done that ever when I've been sent a book, have I stopped, made notes, and want to follow it myself. So I think if you're having that effect, it's just incredible. So yeah, big well done to you.
Thank you, Lewis. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on the show.
No problem, buddy. Thank you.